Alright, so the first game today is gonna be game 3 already of the semifinals of the Summer Championship hosted by Oil Destroyer between Shelty and Skady. It should be another home map for Shelty, as far as I remember in there, with how the order of the maps went. And it's gonna be apparently Kronos Mirror. Okay, that's not really that surprising. Kronos is lately fairly popular all across the community on Mediterranean, so players are kind of like figuring out that might be the best god to be actually using in here because of the reconstructions and everything like that. But Kronos Mirror, of course, is gonna be making for a bit different approach, or different approach. It's kind of gonna be depending how the players are gonna be approaching it, because quite frankly, if they're both gonna be coming for the other side of the water and deconstructing each other, then there's a good chance it's probably not gonna be having all that much of an effect. But maybe they could be waiting for something a bit different, like transporting, of course, the temple on the other side of the water as well. Definitely a possibility. And well, in the meantime, well, we certainly need to be right now looking at what's gonna be happening, for example, here in the middle. They shouldn't be attacking each other, obviously. It's just gonna be bumping and going for the other docks. So far, it seems to me that they are gonna be just aiming for the construction on the enemy docks as soon as possible. Well, pretty much like the same thing. Well, the order should be pretty much the same as well. Wouldn't be expecting anything all that bad. Can see both are having a wood line quite close by to the dock. So therefore the villagers are gonna be ready for replacing the dock quite soon after they're gonna be getting attacked. Now let's put on, for example, the ages. Yeah, well, the ages, so that when we're gonna be switching into the players, you're gonna be seeing it in the UI here as well. So far it seems like they're gonna be arriving at pretty much the same timing. So who's gonna be reconstructing first? The construction there. Instead of construction on the other side as well. You can see that right about now Shelty is not sending the boats back with all the food. Oh, did he manage? Yeah, I think he did. He did with both? No. Only one. Only one of the boats. As for the opponent, he did as well. Maybe this one actually he didn't. So it seems that it's maybe pretty much the same. It feels to me that both of them are kind of slightly risking it. Not actually sending the boats in as soon as possible for all the extra food they could be getting, because it could be kind of like jeopardizing your economy in the early stages, as it's kind of slightly strained the eco for the Atlanteans. And hopefully it's not gonna be that much of an issue and they're gonna be doing fine. Now, as far as not making any kind of huge mistakes going further, because obviously they're gonna be having both piggies, they're gonna be having chickens. Atlanteans are the ones who can be, of course, using that quite fine. And they usually are not all that slow down as far as the advanced times, because their early economy really is quite overtuned. Summons 3 relic monkeys. That's gonna be the relic here available on the left, whereas we are gonna be still waiting for the one on the right flank. Well, apparently TCs are gonna be in water range. There is one in the front that is gonna be for Skady on the left side. That is certainly in range, and therefore we are gonna be also having another one about like here. Once you're gonna be discovering it a bit later. And hey, hi Solo. Yeah, well, I'm kind of thinking there are not actually all that many Czechs and Slovaks. I mean, like, there was a Slovak clan playing RTS League about 2-3 seasons ago. It was a bunch of about like 5 or 6 players who were having fun with the game, but otherwise there are like basically just a few of them. I mean, like, you probably know RTS, who's showing up on the streams quite often lately. There is a Czech guy. But otherwise, not many. Over the course of the streaming that I'm doing here, I've met about like, and contacted me about maybe 2-3 people who are actually Czechoslovak. So I'm thinking there are gonna be a few more who are kind of like lurkers, but not really that many are engaged in this age. But back then, when I was playing a lot, about like 2003, 4, 5, there were plenty of actually Czech players. There were multiple Czech clans, about like 3 major ones. There was Nublex, that was one that I was a leader of later. There was Bohemia Crusaders, which was kind of like Age of Empires 2 clan. You can see that Shelty is gonna be taking the game quite aggressively, apparently, as his opponent not really all that much. So it's gonna be kind of interesting to see what's gonna happen out of that. And third clan, it kind of like oscillated slightly. Right now I cannot exactly recall the name, because it was one who was, or that was switching around a bit. But nonetheless, there were plenty of players. But today, most of the Czech players actually are engaged in Age of Empires 2, and Age of Mythology doesn't have that strong community. I don't think that even Age of Empires 3 has any kind of long-lasting community, because Age of Empires 3 also was quite popular here in Czech Republic. There were a few clans that basically transition from Age of Mythology into Age of Empires 3. So you can see this is quite nicely played and maybe a bit of a problem for Skady. But it seems like the villager is gonna be able to escape into safety. Oh well, Magyar almost checked. That's a solid almost. Because actually, frankly, Hungarians are having closer ties to Finnish than anything else. Because of their language ties and everything. Because it's called like Ugro-Finnish or something like that, the languages. So Hungarian with Finnish is closer than a Hungarian with Slavic languages. So they're not entirely that close. And while I could be thinking that basically Slovaks are really close to them, which is kinda true, because Slovaks were for a long period of time in the history basically part like Upper Hungary, pretty much. They grew a bit distant from them a bit later. Well, let's gonna go and talk about the game here a bit more, I'm guessing. So far we have seen just a bit of an early aggression, nothing all that out of the ordinary. So on the water it's gonna be probably fairly similar. We can see so far first reconstruction there, it's gonna be second dock obviously available. Whereas on the other side so far we don't see the oracle there. You can see that everything went all the way back. So we are gonna be having, well, so far quite a solid advantage for Shelty. Seems to be playing it rather well so far. With the early aggression basically even like slowing down the extra dog here. But obviously with the hero citizens probably shouldn't be that much of a difficulty putting the second dog up. But still, since the reconstruction wasn't there all that in time at the top side for Skady, then Shelty did get quite a solid advantage. He's gonna be getting the second dog obviously as well. But since even, for example, Skady had to be sending one of his boats to pretty much sacrifice it to be able to even get the reconstruction as opposed to what Shelty didn't have to do. Because he just had the presence in there because of the temple and the Prometheans and the oracles and everything. Yeah, that's obviously gonna be putting him at quite a solid advantage, but you can see Skady is quite well preparing for, right about now, the BRMS there inside the dock. So far having about like 5, gonna be having 7 of them, but looking at 11 from the opponent. And no, maybe getting slightly tricky. Because you can see he's not building in the second one. Unfortunately, even either villager in there could be playing a role in the early economy. In the mirror, he is going to be producing only one. It's going to be still about like 13 boats, but it's certainly given a bit of an opportunity to Skady how to overpower the opponent in there with proper numbers, but he certainly needs to be right now securing the shooting of the second dog, because this one is not shooting. So please put it in. Please do put it in. Well, that's not really too great. It's gonna be, of course, right now resulting into a bit of an advantage for Shelty. He's gonna be having only one dog shooting at him, so basically one extra boat available in there. As for Blue, though, he's having only 8 BRMS, whereas his opponent is already getting about like at 8 with the dog. So that's a bit of a problem for Shelty. Exactly the reason that he is so far not even moving with the citizen in there, just about now clicking it in. And, well, the second dog not being on the auto queue. That's exactly these kinds of mistakes are exactly what's gonna be letting you get back into the game, and Skady was able to use that properly. Yeah, well, real-time strategies and basically any kind of games, especially in competitive setting, are about making mistakes, and this was one that Shelty did, and it's gonna be allowing right now Skady to make a comeback, and of course that prevented Shelty from completely closing the game in there, and right there. Nothing being researched so far. Can be looking at the resources, you can see Shelty. He's housed at 75. Can be pretty much the same for Skady, even though he's having a whole lot lower population limit in there. He's having how many boats? 14? 16, so slightly higher number. But yet again, that might be a bit of a problem. Because of the rock not shooting the one through bottom. Still something that Skady hasn't exactly fixed. So it might be costing him a bit yet again. If he's not gonna be noticing it even in the kind of like second engagement that's gonna be happening right next to the docks. There was a bit of an attempt at kiting, didn't exactly work out, as Shelty did not bite, and you can see the second one to the bottom as well. But this kind of slightly bit, but not really that much of a problem because there weren't all that many hit points left in there. But really nice basically showing of Skady's micro as he's sending the boats basically back, even plenty of them, multiple of them rather. To try and lure the enemy into a mistake, and so far it didn't exactly yield the victory in the battle here. The victory was much more because of Skady just having more boats and they having even more of them made from the dog there quicker. You can see right now Shelty is gonna be also sending a few boats in, so he was also suffering from the fact that he was engaging in the battle a bit before, and therefore he was also having some kind of lower hit points already on the boats as opposed to Skady. He was basically making a brand new fleet on at his disposal. As well, all the way to the bottom, we are kind of looking at the minimap. We have already seen the Prometheans from the red player kind of trying to knock down the temple. And are we seeing some ups somewhere? I don't think so. No, there is no alluvial clay from either player, but much more importantly right now, this is going to be resulting into Shelty losing this position, and maybe you should be just trying to transport the temple back. I mean, like, it's still 100 and 100 resources, that's kind of not too cheap. The counter barracks are already coming up, whereas for the opponent it's going to be military barracks. So you can see different approach to the game, interesting protection of the gold in there, to prevent any kind of raiding whatsoever. Shelty is going to be just spamming some more mills, whereas Skady is going a bit more into the turmas and hoping that just some kind of quick raiding is gonna be the better course of action. I kind of have to agree with that, because he already has an economy attuned to gold and wood, and therefore, if he's gonna be managing it properly, he should be having enough resources for it. You can see Shelty apparently not interested in the temple, maybe even didn't have enough resources for transporting it. That's also a bit of a possibility for him, but seems to be having enough, so I don't know. Maybe he just did not want to be engaging in that. 90 population limit, 83 so far for Skady. And this is really right proper mirror. They are really kind of mirroring how they're gonna be approaching the economy and how they're gonna be moving ahead with the number of houses and everything like that. So interestingly played. As on the left, that's gonna be Skady, because taking the advantage of having a few more extra units to go for a bit of raiding himself. But he's gonna be met with a bit of opposition. You can see it could be easily destroyed because of the Valor. Even though it would be like one less unit, then would be ideal. It's still gonna be solid enough. Can I actually missed each other in there? I mean, like, both should have seen it because they are having enough vision for that. And they were both hugging the shoreline in there quite a bit. And really fairly interesting that nobody has been scouting the right side of the map yet. Especially looking at Shelty, because so far, I don't think he even like knows where the TC is, but he's gonna be having quite a good guess. So if he's right now scouted the left side of the map, which he did, let's switch into Shelty's point of view. Okay, that's kind of fun. You can see he's already transporting his military buildings all the way on the other side of the map, but unfortunately also running out of gold in pretty crucial time, with counter barracks moving ahead as well, and the only gold that he knows about is this one. This is such a dangerous moment for him. And definitely a chance where you could be getting significantly skewed, because you can see all the boats from Skady having about like 15-16 of them, whereas Shelty is gonna be at 15-16 himself, but without the gold, he is completely skewed. And of course right now Teal, or rather Blue, doesn't know anything about the gold, just this one, and he needs to be going there, which potentially could be leading into a bit of a problem with the Prometheans already raiding him and even running out of the piggy here. So let's turn off the full force so that we can be appreciating what Shelty is missing. Yeah. He's missing a very good gold on the right side, even two of them, with a relic for myth unit build time. Not that much of a game changer really, as you are hearing one of the citizens dying and little Prometheans still being there. But yeah, it just could be kind of easily refought. I mean, like, Prometheans don't have any kind of huge amount of hit points, but we need to be looking to the bottom, where apparently Skady is the one who's gonna be moving into the left side for a bit of gold, as he doesn't see any kind of gold mine all that much either, just the one in the middle on the right flank, and that's of course quite a good reason why to be going this way, and apparently so far it seems to be rather working. Question is how long it's gonna be working still even on the water, as he seems to be right now having quite a bit of an edge at the top with 14 BMS, but problem is that his opponent is having so many boats all the way to the bottom, that's 17 boats, 17 BMS, so he still does have quite a solid edge here. Okay, so both living kind of dangerously. You can see that even Lion is having a bit different idea about what's going on here, as Shelty is moving back into the battle. You can see nobody is having upgrades into medium Urmilos yet. So it's gonna be fairly interesting how it's gonna be proceeding, because Shelty apparently doesn't even have enough population limit anymore, and he's fully housed. So right now we cannot get anything extra as far as the land. Whereas Skady is gonna be having 300 and 320. So yeah, well, he's gonna be having also plenty of resources right now in stockpile to potentially advance into the heroic age, but it's gonna be pretty much the same for both. This shouldn't be anything all that important, but unfortunately for Shelty, Skady was paying enough attention. He was choosing one of the citizens that was a bit lower on the hit points, and therefore that's gonna be a second citizen already killed. Whereas I think that Skady didn't lose a single one there yet. So that's a bit of a crawlback for Skady. And maybe a bit of a problem in the waiting for Shelty, as he still does have the military buildings to bottom, gonna be producing a bit of army to go for raiding himself. But looking at the numbers, it's gonna be much better for Skady. And while he is not gonna be having that much of a... he's actually not even fighting for the water anymore. Okay, so this is gonna be, of course, making it a whole lot easier for Shelty, as he's right now producing a few more fishing boats himself. And it's gonna be also curious to see if they're gonna be choosing to go for the Heroic Age first, or if they're gonna be switching into the second TC. So far it feels to me that Heroic Age would be slightly more advantageous, especially for Shelty. We could be getting the food in there. As for Skady, it should be getting it slightly more trickier. Nothing so far being researched. A bit of extra bows that are still remaining from Skady. And for Skady, I'm gonna be helping in the engagement here. So apparently Skady is gonna be going for the second TC, and pretty much the same for Shelty. So they don't want to be getting into the next age. Okay, but both are gonna be deciding to do the same thing. So of course still, this is really quite a proper mirror. They are really doing quite similar things. They're gonna be just a bit of a difference though, because Skady is already finishing with the second one. This is gonna be even a third one for him. So that might be fairly interesting. But considering the fact that he doesn't have water anymore, and the chances for comeback are not entirely all that high in the next, like, a few minutes, then it kind of makes sense for him, because he's gonna be having to make up for the missing economy. And while right now there is gonna be a bit of a problem for Shelty to finish this without any more losses. You can see it's gonna be another citizen dead. It's gonna be like a third one, a fourth one here. You can see the dead body. Fifth one, oh well. At this point Shelty is really hemorrhaging villages in quite dangerous numbers. Especially considering the fact that Skady isn't, and he's gonna be getting even a 30C. So I'm kinda maybe smelling a bit of a problem for Shelty. You can see even medium mills are already in. It's gonna be a bit of an edge for Skady, because Shelty doesn't have that. And while Shelty does have the dominance on the water, I'm not entirely certain, as they are killing even the piggies in there, that this has to be such a strong victory for him. You can see that Skady is not entirely giving up on it. He's gonna be producing at least a few boats still. Not any kind of like solid auto queue, only here on the left dock, but he just wants to be keeping Shelty kinda like busy in there. Which is certainly quite clever and quite well played, because it's gonna be giving him a bit of an opportunity how to maybe surprise him through the land if Shelty is gonna be overdoing the water. And that certainly could be the case here. Well, nonetheless, you can see only 2 TCs for Shelty, 3 for Skady, and Skady is already quite higher on the score in there. Nothing being researched. For Shelty, he's gonna be having only 240 food, but that should be kinda getting quite a bit higher because of the water economy. But yeah, for that he really needs to be putting a stop to all of this by Skady. Seems to me that Shelty, does he have even, for example, Pulse? No, he doesn't. No, he does not. You can see right now Skady even getting the second dock into auto queue territory in here. He's gonna be yet again raiding on the gold. And this is just basically still stemming from the problem that Shelty didn't scout the right side. And quite frankly, he doesn't even need to scout it. He should be right now realizing that there is extra gold mine for him. And you can see that right now, with how the game is going, I certainly do agree that even though Shelty was having quite a solid edge on the water, he just wasn't able to close it up. And Skady, through his unrelenting, like, continuing comeback, he was able to basically keep him busy both on the land and on the water. But with the sheer number of units that right now he can field, I'm talking about Skady because of the extra TC, and of course what kind of extra economical boost it's giving him. Well, yeah, you kind of have to agree that Shelty kind of got outplayed here by Skady. It was quite a nice mirror. They were doing fairly similar things like most of the time, but in the end it was Skady who actually played it better. I mean, like, it's not that much of a surprise when you think about it, because Skady is Atlantean main originally, a few years back. Because basically at this time most of the players can be playing pretty much any god, but still, when you are a main with some civilization, you kind of are having better ideas, especially about the mirror matchups. You just kind of know what to expect and what to do against it. Whereas Shelty, well, he of course knows how to play Atlanteans, but he's a Norse main, and Norse is where his experience is gonna be shining. Well, that was maybe a slightly unexpected result, considering how the water battle went. But in the end, Skady played it rather well and pretty nicely, and the early aggression by Shelty on the land, not only by the temple, but also by the counter barracks and the military barracks, just didn't work out as well as he would have thought and wanted, because he just did have way too many. He had way too many boats on the water, and therefore he didn't have the population limit to be really doing anything significant in there on the land as well. Whereas Skady, he was kind of slightly the opposite way. Sacrifice in water, but it's proved to be the correct decision. Let's check into the post game. That's going to be right now Skady, with almost most of it, just a few more, well, probably like one more improvement or a faster improvement for Shelty. Otherwise the economy fairly similar, just about like 1,000 difference between the players, about like 2 rather. It's 1,500, few hundred, so not even 2,000, but still. And of course problem was, you can see right now the civilian unit height 25, 26 for Skady, but you have to take into account that in this, Shelty is having like, I don't know, 10 fishing boats. Maybe not even 10, but like 5 to 10, let's say. Whereas that's basically only villages for Skady here. So it was about like 5 citizens, or how many did we count, for Shelty getting destroyed by the raiding. That's something that is kind of hard to come by again. It faster advance from Shelty, that allowed him to be jumping on Skady there a bit. You can see 3 researches in the end for Skady too. So he was having medium infantry and classical age. Whereas Shelty, he wasn't having that many ups. Classical and what else? Hendux pickaxe. Not even the better economy actually helped him too much. And yeah, well, quite of course. If he scouted this, he would have quite probably gone for the right side. Would have been slightly more safer for him, I think. And the left, and yeah, well, he did not. And therefore, he had to pay for it by losing then in game number 3. In the end, actually, Skady having even more BRMs than Shelty. But Shelty was just more efficient with them and was having the numbers in more important battles. So that's why he was having an edge. Kind of similar economy here. And you can see it was Skady losing some kind of fishing boats in there. But otherwise, Shelty was kind of making up for losing villages by making a few more fishing boats. But for example, right in here near the end, basically didn't allow him to capitalize on the stronger economy that he should be having. Whereas the military fairly similar. Just the mix was different as we talked. Shelty was usually having more boats and lower on the land, whereas Skady the opposite. And it proved to be better for Skady. GG.